All right, so today we're diving deep into something that might not seem very exciting at first glance.
Yeah, payroll.
Payroll automation.
Yeah, not the most glamorous topic.
No, but if you think about it, it's super important, especially when companies start to grow rapidly.
Absolutely.
Imagine, your startup's doubling in size every quarter.
Yeah.
It's incredible for the business, but behind the scenes, the HR team is drowning in spreadsheets
Ugh, yeah,
just to
spreadsheets.
process payroll.
It's a nightmare.
That's the kind of problem that can really sneak up on you.
Absolutely.
Everyone's celebrating the growth and the wins, but behind the
All
scenes,
right.
those manual processes, they start to break down.
And payroll, I mean, that's not something you want to mess up.
Definitely not.
You really don't.
That's why I'm so fascinated by the article that we're deep diving into today.
Yeah, what's the article called again?
So it's all about how even something as complex as payroll can be streamlined
Oh, yeah.
using tools that a lot of us are already familiar with,
Like what?
Google Sheets and AppScript.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't really used AppScript that much.
Yeah, so AppScript lets you go beyond just storing data in a spreadsheet.
Oh, okay.
You can actually teach your spreadsheet to do the work.
That sounds powerful.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not just replacing like one software with another.
It's like a whole different way of thinking about how we manage payroll.
I mean, that's really interesting. And you're saying it's not that hard to learn.
Yeah, that's the best part.
Okay.
It's way more accessible than you might think.
All right, good.
So before we get into the nitty-gritty of how to do it, I kind of want to paint a picture
Okay.
of just how bad manual payroll can get.
Yeah, I mean, it can be really bad, right?
Yeah, the article paints a pretty vivid picture.
Like what kind of picture?
Stacks of paper, endless spreadsheets, late nights spent double-checking numbers.
I can just imagine.
Yeah, and even with all that effort, there's still so much room for human error.
Oh, yeah.
A single typo, a
Mhm.
misplaced decimal point, someone's paycheck is messed up.
And then you have to deal with like a frustrated employee.
Right, and that's just an inconvenience for the employee.
Yeah.
But it can turn into a legal issue for the company.
Yeah, absolutely.
Inaccurate payroll can lead to all sorts of problems.
Yeah, for sure.
Frustrated employees, compliance headaches, even penalties. Right.
All of that.
Yeah, and it's not just about those big glaring mistakes.
Okay.
Even those tiny little discrepancies, if they happen over and over again,
Right. Yeah,
it can really erode trust,
for sure.
create a sense that things aren't fair.
Yeah, exactly.
So automation isn't just about saving time.
Okay.
It's about creating a system that's more accurate, more reliable,
Mm-hmm.
and in the end, fairer for everyone.
I like that. It's like, yeah, you're taking the human out of it so you don't have the human error.
Exactly.
And it's just a much smoother process for everyone involved.
Yeah, that's where AppScript comes in.
Okay.
So by automating all those calculations, you're not just getting rid of that risk of human error.
Right.
You're making the process more transparent
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
and consistent for everyone.
I'm starting to get this. This is cool.
Okay, so we kind of know why we need this, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's get into the how.
Okay.
The article explains that AppScript is this cloud-based scripting language.
Okay.
And it basically supercharges Google Sheets.
Oh, okay.
Can you kind of help break that down for people who don't know anything about code?
So like Google Sheets by itself, it's like a really powerful calculator, right?
Yeah.
But with AppScript, it's like you can turn that calculator into a full-blown computer.
Wow, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, you can do way more than just basic math.
So you're saying we're not just adding and subtracting.
Yeah, no.
We're teaching it to make decisions.
Right.
Follow instructions,
Yeah,
automate whole workflows.
exactly.
That's pretty amazing.
And the best part is, like, it's built right into Google Sheets.
Oh, that's nice.
So you don't need to download anything, learn a new program.
That's a relief. Yeah. But I imagine there's still a bit of a learning curve, right?
Well, yeah.
Especially for those of us who are total beginners.
I mean, there's definitely a learning curve to anything new.
Of course.
But the article does a great job of explaining, like, the core concepts.
Okay.
And you don't have to become a, master coder overnight,
Right, of course not.
Just start small,
Yeah.
experiment a little bit,
Okay.
build on your knowledge as you go.
So where do we even start?
That's a good question.
What are the fundamental, building blocks of automating payroll?
Well, the first thing is understanding how apps script interacts with the data that's already in your spreadsheet.
Okay.
It's kind of like teaching it to read and write information from specific cells.
Oh, okay. So it needs to know where to find things like the employee's hourly rate, the number of hours they worked.
Yeah, exactly.
And once it has that data, it can do calculations like multiplying the rate by the hours to figure out their gross pay.
Exactly.
And then it can put that result in another cell, all automatically.
It's amazing.
It's mimicking the steps that we'd be doing by hand,
Yeah, exactly.
which is way faster and with no mistakes.
Right, and that's just like one basic example.
Okay, yeah.
There's a lot more we can do with it.
So what else do we need to know?
Well, another important concept is what they call conditional logic,
Okay.
which is basically just setting up rules for the script to follow.
Rules.
Yeah, so that it can handle, like, different situations.
Okay, so like if someone works overtime, the script knows to use a different calculation.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
You're teaching the script to recognize when, certain conditions are met,
Mhm.
and then to do specific things based on those conditions.
Okay, this is starting to make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But even before we get to the coding part, the article talks about how important it is to have a well-structured spreadsheet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Why is that so crucial?
Think of the spreadsheet like the foundation for your automation.
Oh,
A well-organized spreadsheet is going to make your code cleaner, easier to understand, less prone to errors.
so it's like building a house on solid ground instead of on, like, sand.
Exactly, yeah.
You want that stability.
Exactly.
So what does a well-structured payroll spreadsheet look like?
Well, the article suggests a layout that includes columns for all the key details about each employee.
Okay.
Like their employee ID, their name,
Mhm.
hourly rate, hours worked, overtime hours, any bonuses or deductions.
Oh, right.
And then, of course, the net pay.
So we need to have all of that information clearly organized so that the script can easily find it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like creating a roadmap for the script.
Yes, exactly. A roadmap. I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of maps, the article mentions something called named ranges.
Oh, yeah. Named ranges. Yeah.
What are those? I'm not familiar with that.
Imagine that instead of referring to a cell by its coordinates, like B2,
Okay, yeah.
you could give it a meaningful name, like hourly rate.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I can see how that would be helpful.
It makes it much easier to follow what the code is doing.
Right, because instead of the script trying to figure out, like, these cryptic cell references,
Yeah. Yeah.
it can use these human-readable names.
Exactly.
Okay, that seems like a really good tip,
Yeah, it's a small thing that can make a big difference.
especially when those scripts get more and more complicated.
For sure.
Okay, so we've got our spreadsheet structured.
Yep.
We understand some of those basic apps, script concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time to look at some code, right?
Let's do it.
The article starts with a simple script that just automates gross pay calculation.
Oh, cool.
But I'm curious, for someone who's never seen a line of code before, how intimidating is that going to be?
I mean, it might look a little scary at first,
Yeah.
but it's really not that bad.
Okay.
The article breaks it down step by step using simple language to
Okay.
explain what each line is doing.
Okay.
And once you understand the logic, it's actually pretty intuitive.
All right, let's unpack this gross pay calculation script. What's happening in there?
So the script starts by accessing the data from the payroll spreadsheet.
Okay.
And it knows where to look because we've organized everything in a clear way.
Right, we set up that foundation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it loops through each row.
Each row being an employee.
Each employee.
Okay.
And for each employee, it grabs their hourly rate and the number of hours they worked.
From the right cell?
Yeah, from the right cells based on the structure we set up.
Okay.
And then comes the calculation. Hourly rate multiplied by hours worked.
Same as we do manually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the magic, right?
Yeah.
The script does this automatically for every single employee on the list.
So we don't have to type anything.
Exactly.
It's doing all the hard work for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So it's doing all those calculations in a fraction of the time.
Way faster.
Yeah.
And then finally, the script takes the result of that calculation.
That's the gross pay.
The gross pay, yep, and it writes it into the correct cell for each employee.
So it's putting the results right where they need to be.
Exactly. Just like that, the gross pay column is all filled out automatically.
It's like having a super efficient assistant
Yeah.
that never makes any mistakes.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is just the beginning.
We can do so much more with it.
Okay, so from here,
Yeah?
we can start adding more complexity,
Yeah.
like overtime,
Yeah.
bonuses. We can even integrate with other systems,
Absolutely.
build custom interfaces.
That's really powerful stuff.
I'm seeing how powerful this can be.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like we're just scratching the surface.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But before we move on to the next part,
Okay.
I'm curious to hear from our listeners.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts on this?
Yeah. Have you ever tried using AppScript before?
Share your experiences down in the comments.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
We'll be back soon to delve even deeper into the capabilities of AppScript and how you can really take your payroll automation to the next level.
I can't wait. So last time we were looking at that simple script
Yeah.
to calculate gross pay.
It was a good starting point,
Yeah, definitely.
but real-world payroll, it's never that simple.
No.
What happens when people start working overtime?
That's a good question.
Does AppScript have a way to deal with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The article shows how you can change the script
Okay.
to include overtime pay,
Makes sense.
which is usually like 1.5 times the regular hourly rate.
Right, time and a half.
Exactly.
Okay, so if someone's making $20 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
the script knows to pay them $30 an hour for any overtime.
Yeah, basically.
And it's not just a fixed number, right?
Yeah. No.
We can adjust that overtime rate
Right.
based on company policy
Yeah.
or even specific employee contracts.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about AppScript.
Okay.
It's flexible.
It's good to know.
You can make it work for different situations.
Okay, so we've got overtime covered.
Yeah.
What about other things like bonuses?
Yeah,
Bonuses.
we automate that too.
Of course. The article shows you how to add bonuses right into the script.
Okay.
So these bonuses, they could be for anything.
Right. Performance
Yeah, reaching
and
targets,
certain goals.
maybe a holiday bonus.
Right. Just a little something extra for everyone.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say we have a column in our spreadsheet
Mm-hmm.
specifically for bonuses.
Okay.
The script could pull that number,
Yep.
add it to their gross pay,
Yeah.
and calculate the final amount.
That's exactly how it works.
And we can even use that conditional logic
Right.
to handle different kinds of bonuses.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we might have a sales team
Okay.
where their bonuses are a percentage of their sales,
Right.
while other employees get a fixed bonus
Yeah,
based on their performance reviews.
exactly.
Okay, this is feeling pretty powerful.
It is powerful. But I have to admit, I'm still a little intimidated by the code.
Yeah,
Is there a way to make this more visual,
that's a great question.
easier to use?
The article talks about something called HTML service.
Oh, HTML service.
Yeah, it lets you create custom interfaces right inside Google Sheets.
What does that mean?
Basically, you can design your own forms and dashboards,
Oh, okay.
all within Google Sheets.
So instead of working directly with the code,
Mm-hmm.
we could have a more visual way to put in the data
Yeah, exactly.
or even trigger certain calculations.
Absolutely.
Okay, so imagine like a simple form
Okay.
where a manager can enter an employee's bonus
Right.
or an employee can submit a time-off request.
Exactly.
And these forms, they can look like a regular website,
Mhm.
but they're powered by apps, script behind the scenes.
That's right.
That's pretty slick.
It's a nice way to make it more user-friendly.
Right, we're not just automating the calculations anymore.
Yeah.
We're making the whole process of putting in the data easier. Okay, I can see how that would cut down on mistakes.
Absolutely.
Save everyone a ton of time.
And it can actually make it more fun to work with.
Oh, that's a bonus.
Right.
Okay, but now we're dealing with sensitive employee information.
Right.
How do we keep that data safe
That's a super important question.
when we're using AppScript
Yeah.
and potentially connecting to other systems?
So Google takes security very seriously.
Okay, that's good to know.
AppScript runs in Google's secure cloud environment,
Okay.
which has all sorts of safety measures in place.
Right, they're always checking for vulnerabilities.
Exactly.
Okay.
Plus, you have control over who can see your scripts.
And spreadsheets.
Yeah. So only authorized people can get to that sensitive payroll information.
Okay, so we can lock things down pretty tight.
Absolutely.
And what about when we connect to those other systems?
You always want to make sure you're working with reputable providers.
Right, companies that prioritize security.
Exactly.
It's a reminder that even though we're automating things,
Yeah.
we can't just forget about them.
Right.
We still have to be careful.
We still need to be smart about security
Exactly.
and protect that data.
Okay, so we've talked about the calculations.
Mhm.
We've talked about the interfaces. We've talked about
We
security.
covered a lot.
But the article also hints at what's next.
The future of payroll automation.
What's on the horizon?
One thing I'm really excited about is machine learning and AI
Oh, yeah, everyone's talking about that.
and how it's going to change everything.
Imagine algorithms that can analyze your payroll data, find patterns,
Yeah.
predict errors before they even happen.
That would be amazing.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. We could go from fixing errors after they happen
Right, being reactive,
to preventing them in the first place.
being proactive.
Exactly.
Okay, and imagine chatbots
Oh, yeah.
that can answer employee questions about their paycheck
Anytime.
24/7.
No need for a human to get involved.
That'd free up so much time for HR teams.
They could focus on more strategic stuff.
Right, not just answering the same questions over and over.
Yeah, exactly.
So payroll isn't just automated.
Right.
It's intelligent.
Yeah,
It's learning, adapting, constantly getting better.
that's the goal.
That's a pretty amazing vision.
It's exciting to think about.
But it's not just about the technology, right?
No, not just the technology.
You have to rethink the whole process.
Yeah, we have to shift our mindset.
Instead of just tracking hours worked, maybe we should focus on measuring the value that each employee creates,
Exactly.
regardless of how many hours they put in.
That's a much more modern approach.
Right.
Especially with more and more people working remotely.
Yeah, it's not just about being in the office from 9 to 5 anymore.
Exactly.
This all sounds so promising,
It is.
but there must be challenges.
Oh, of course.
What are some of the hurdles we need to overcome?
Well, one of the big ones is data integration.
Okay.
Right now, a lot of companies use different systems.
Okay, like a separate system for time tracking.
Yeah, time tracking, benefits, payroll,
All those HR functions.
they're all siloed.
They don't talk to each other.
Exactly. And to really take advantage of this intelligent automation,
Okay.
we need that information to flow freely.
So we need to break down those silos
Break them down.
and have a more unified system.
A single source of truth for all that employee data.
That sounds like a big task.
It is a big task.
But the benefits would be huge.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about the technology, right?
Right. It's a cultural shift, too.
Companies need to be willing to collaborate.
Yeah. Break down those walls between departments.
It sounds complicated,
It can be.
but the potential is huge.
It is. And we're already seeing progress.
Okay, that's
There are companies out there
Mhm.
building these platforms that bring everything together.
So things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, we're moving away from those old, clunky manual processes.
Right, towards something more modern,
More intelligent.
more human-centric.
Exactly.
That's a great place to wrap up part 2. It is. But before we move on to the next part,
Okay.
I want to hear from our listeners.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on machine learning and AI?
In the world of payroll.
Are you excited about the possibilities, or are you a little bit scared?
Yeah. Share your thoughts in the comments.
And we'll be back soon to explore even more possibilities.
In part 3. All right, so we've talked a lot about the what and the why of payroll automation.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
But for those listeners who are ready to jump in and start using AppScript,
Mm-hmm.
where do they even begin?
Well, the article we've been talking about,
Yeah.
it's a great place to start.
It really is.
It explains all those basic ideas in a way that anyone can understand.
Even if you've never coded before.
Exactly.
And it even gives you actual code
Mm-hmm.
that you can just copy and paste
Yeah,
right into your spreadsheet,
yeah, which is super helpful.
especially if you're not ready to write code from scratch.
Exactly. Just start experimenting.
Play around with it a bit.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Things.
That's how you learn.
Right. It's all about that hands-on experience.
Absolutely.
In that moment when you realize,
Yeah.
hey, I can actually do this.
Exactly. It's a great feeling.
And you don't have to do it alone.
Oh, yeah. There are tons of resources out there.
The Google Developers website has some amazing documentation
Yeah, for all levels.
from beginner to expert.
And there's a whole community of apps, script users.
Oh, yeah, they're super helpful.
Always happy to answer questions.
Online forums are a great place to connect with them.
Yeah, I get feedback, share tips.
So even if you get stuck,
Mm-hmm.
chances are someone else has already figured out the solution.
Exactly. You're not alone in this.
It's a good reminder that we're all learning together.
Absolutely.
And once you get the hang of AppScript,
Yeah.
you can use it for all sorts of things.
Oh, yeah. It's not just for payroll.
Maybe you're spending hours making reports
Yeah, reports are the worst.
or copying data from one spreadsheet to another.
So tedious.
AppScript can automate all of that.
Makes you wonder why you're doing it manually in the first place.
Right. Think about all the time you could save
So much time.
and all that energy you could put towards something more creative.
Absolutely.
That's the real power of automation.
It's not just about speed.
Right. It's about working smarter, not harder.
And freeing up your time for the things that really matter.
Exactly.
It's a game changer.
And it's not just a technological shift.
No.
It's a cultural shift, too.
It changes the way we think about work.
We have to be open to new ways of doing things
Yeah, embrace the idea of constantly improving
and realize that technology can be a powerful tool.
if we use it the right way.
So don't be afraid to experiment.
Try new things.
Challenge the status quo.
Exactly.
Embrace the power of automation,
Not just in payroll.
but in every part of your work.
And this is just the beginning.
The possibilities are endless.
As technology keeps evolving
So keep learning, keep innovating.
and keep pushing the boundaries.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of payroll automation.
It's been a pleasure,
We hope you've learned something new
and that you're feeling inspired.
to explore the power of automation in your own work.
Absolutely.
Share your thoughts in the comments below.
We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, keep automating.